everyone, everything that you read in the news lately, especially during 2022, keeps pointing to one thing. Are the Federal Reserves of the world going to raise interest rates another time? Are they going to stop dropping them in 2023? What's going to happen with interest rates? And for the last 15 years especially, we've lived in what I would call boom and bust cycles, where interest rates were so low that anybody could buy anything. It's you could get a loan for just about anything because the cost of the goods was money was free, is a way to put it. If you're only paying 0.25% interest on that purchase, you're basically using the manufacturer's money for almost nothing. Or let me put this another way: you're using people who save money. You're using their money for next to no interest at all. So, where are interest rates going in the future? I would honestly hope that interest rates would stay long-term around where they are now. And if you want an indication of where interest rates are going, one of the things excuse me, all you really need to do is take a look at what bonds and GICs are currently being offered at. Right now, you can get a GIC as high as 5% for a 1 year and as low as 4.10, something like that, depending on where you go to get it. 3-year GICs are around 3.75%, maybe a little more. And 5 years GICs are not much different than 3. So, and the same with bonds. I mean, bonds are around 4%. So if you think of that, the banks and the companies that buy the GICs, whether it be a credit union or whatever the case may be, they're not in the business of losing money. So if they thought that interest rates were going to be 5, 6, 7% in 3 years, well, they would most likely be giving out GICs higher than 3.75, 3.85%. Now, you can get a few 3-year GICs for a little bit higher than that, but they're typically from online institutions or maybe a credit union, but generally your big banks like Royal Bank and CIBC and banks like that typically offer a little less, and the same with insurance companies offer a little less when you're shopping for a GIC. So if you're looking for an indication of where rates will be in, say, 3 or 4 years, there's your answer. I believe that rates right now, to get a 5-year fixed rate mortgage, you can pay about 5 to 5.5% for a 5-year term, and interest rates right now for a GIC, like I said, they're around 3.75 for a 3-year term, and about the same for a 5-year term. So I don't think you're gonna, everybody is out there saying, the Federal Reserve is going to stop or going to start dropping interest rates in 2023, because inflation is going to drop down, and everything's going to go back to the way it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, where interest rates were next to nil, and everybody and anybody was out buying houses and RVs and putting the pool in the backyard and renovating the house because money was basically almost free to borrow. And that is not good for any economy, because we know exactly what's happened in the last 15, 20 years. We've had all these boom and bust cycles. And people get hurt in boom and bust cycles. Look at what happened with the housing market in the last 2 or 3 years. There's going to be a lot of people right now that are what they call underwater on their mortgage. They probably owe more money on their house than the equity that they have in it, and that's not a good thing. Okay, fine. There are people that have were able to buy houses before the pandemic, before everything went nuts, and they were able to sell them before the market turned the other way. Okay, fine. So, some people win, some people lose. But in general, I believe that a more stable economy is what everyone needs. Whether you're a young family starting out, or a family in midlife, or a senior citizen that would like to have some income for their savings, like a 4% or a 4.5% GIC, as opposed to having to risk their money in the stock markets, would be a wonderful thing. So I believe that the Federal Reserves of the world are starting to get it, and they're starting to understand that all these boom and bust cycles are not good for the global economy at all. So I believe that you're going to see mortgages in the between 3 and 4.5% in the years to come. I definitely don't think you're going to see rates dropping considerably in the second half of 23. As a matter of fact, the consensus is that rates will go up again in January in Canada, maybe 1/4 percentage point, and then maybe again in March or April, another 1/4 percentage point, and then the Federal Reserve will put on the brakes and see what happens with inflation and the economy at that point. One of the things that most people believe is going to keep rates from going back down for sure for now is the labor markets. The labor markets are very tight. It's still very hard for companies to find employees. I know you hear in the news that a lot of tech companies are laying people off, you say, okay, people are getting laid off, but on the other side of the coin, there's lots of industries. The services industry, there's a lot of industries. The home building industry is still, in dire need of workers. The healthcare industry is in dire need of workers. There are a lot of areas in the economy that need more employees, and the demand is higher than the supply. So that's what I think about interest rates going into 23. We are now in 23. It's January of 23, and if you're a high debtor, I know you don't like to hear stuff like this because it's difficult when your payments go up considerably, and you're feeling the pinch. But in the long term, it has to be an even balance where people that are in debt are paying a reasonable amount to borrow their money, and people that are trying to save money and live off their investments, senior citizens, they need to be able to have a reasonable return on their money without having to worry about losing all their money in the stock market and that sort of thing. So anyhow, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. I really enjoy putting out these videos, and I get a lot of really good comments from folks that on subjects that I do. And hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot. Hit the notification button so you get reminded whenever I upload a new video, and I wish you all a successful 2023. Thanks. Talk soon.